Good morning, Clem, to and everyone. How you all doing? We're having a good day, sunny, going to be sunny basically all day with some clouds. I think we have a high of 7 degrees Celsius and 40 something degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a nice day, below freezing right at the moment, but overall, nice day. Hope you're having good weather wherever you are. You can always report in. Let me know how your weather is going. So, if you were to make a list of, I don't know, if you could say 5 things, principles that you could tell people that they should organize their life around and they should organize all of their relationships around, a list of 5 or even 6 that will have to do with themselves personally, their relationships out there, and basically how society should run. What would your list be and how would it start? Now, that's a loaded question, a big question for Wednesday morning or whenever you watch this. But if you were to create a list, 5, 6, 10 things, what would you put on the list? I think a lot of you would probably start where Violet used to start all the time when she used to say, love one another. Good place to start, love one another. And you might go on from there, be honest, be kind to other people, be respectful, those kinds of things. It's interesting to me as we're looking at the 10 Commandments, what God chose to put on the list and the order that he chose to put it in. So let's take a quick look at God's top 10 list of good behavior. And we've looked at these first 4. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol. You shouldn't misuse the name of the Lord your God. I've had interesting time with this online where I challenged an organization that used OMG, oh my God, in a post that they had, and I got a lot of responses to that one. And remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. And that was where we left off the last time we were looking at this. So those are the things that have to do with our relationship with God. The final 6 have to do with our relationship to ourselves, to those around us, to our family, to our community, to our neighbors, in a sense, our workplace, just all spheres of life, our human relationships, wherever they should fall. Where would you start on that list? What's interesting to me is if you look at this list, you will not see love one another on there anywhere. You actually don't see love mentioned at all. Now, we had a lesson on this, and that's because these 10 things are meant to explain what it means to love God. What does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself or those around you? But it's interesting to me that God did not put love other people on his list explicitly, but he gave 6 principles to build your life around. Now, if it had been me, I would have started with number 7. You shall not commit adultery. I would have started with build strong marriage so that you can have a strong family. Now, it's interesting to me, though, that God didn't start there. God started with honor your father and your mother. Right there, number 5. I should have turned off the highlighting on this one because we're kind of done with this one for now. So let's just turn that highlighting off. There we go. Honor your father and your mother. That's how God chose to start 6 principles to build all of your human relationships around. And he started with children. Now, we will come back to this over the coming days, and we're going to look at how this kind of changes in our life over a period of time. And even as adults, if your parents are living, you still have to honor them. We'll come to that. But primarily, this has to do with children. And so basically, I believe God is saying, start your life right and then live your life right. That's the best plan. Now, Many of us have not started life well, have not lived life well. It doesn't mean that you're hooped, that there's no hope for you. There's always hope in the Lord. When we turn to Him and ask for forgiveness, give our lives to Him, and become serious Jesus followers, God will begin to build a good life as He defines a good life. He will begin and continue to build a good life, and He will bring it to completion. So no worries there. But as a general principle, it's good to start life on track and then continue to build your life from there and keep it on track. And the starting point is what we do as children. Now, having said that, there's other interesting things about this verse. Honor your father and your mother. I didn't actually read for you down farther. We're going to screen share again here. Here's the actual verse. Honor your father and your mother. It's interesting that, first of all, it has a promise, and it's the only one of the 10 commandments that has a promise. Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. That is a promise specifically given to the children of Israel. They had been in bondage and slaves to the people of Egypt, and they didn't technically yet have their own country, but God was about to give them their own country. And that's what He's talking about. The Lord God is giving you a land to live in. And that's what the book of Joshua and on is all about, the trials and the difficulties of moving into that land and taking over that land. But honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land. So isn't that interesting that this commandment of the 10 commandments has a promise attached to it? So that's the first thing that's interesting to note. The second thing that's interesting to note is what it doesn't say. It doesn't say love your father and your mother. It's good to love your father and your mother, but I think it's on purpose that God did not choose that language specifically because some parents, frankly, are difficult. Some of you had a very difficult childhood. Some of you had some horrific things done to you by a parent. And you would find it difficult, in a sense, to love that parent. You still have to love that parent because we're called to love all people, and parents are people. But you can always choose, even when you don't feel love for a parent, you can always choose as an act to honor them. So I think that's interesting that He chose the word honor rather than love for a reason. Now, Ephesians chapter 6 kind of it's actually talking about this verse. And the Apostle Paul says this: children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. So one of the primary ways that a child would honor his parents is by obeying his parents. Now, there's a lot said in the scriptures about parents themselves and how they are to treat children. All the way from Deuteronomy, where it says to teach your children diligently the things of the Lord, all the way through Ephesians in this passage I was just reading, where it tells, say, fathers not to provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So this commandment has kind of, it's two sides of a coin. The first side of the coin is what the children do, and the second side is what the parents do. So even though it's very brief in saying honor your father and your mother, it has much more in mind for that. But children, obey your parents. If we were to look at Proverbs, you would see verses in there that say, listen to their instruction, gain wisdom from your parents. As much as you can, try to learn from and gain wisdom from your parents. Now, most of you, in fact, I will make it bet all of you listening to this are not children, in the sense that you're not yet adults. Almost everybody listening to this podcast are already adults. And so our job primarily looking at this is, how do we treat children? because our role has changed now. How do we help children learn to honor your father and mother? One of the primary ways is to actually teach the principle to your children, to tell them that the Lord has said, and say this in a good way. Don't say it in a harsh way. Don't say it like a threat or whatever else. Say it to them in a very, very positive manner. Tell them the Lord has said that you are supposed to honor your father and your mother. Your father and mother are going to try to treat you in honorable ways. And together, we're going to honor the Lord in our relationship together. Anyway, I'm already past the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to stop there. And we're going to pick it up again, hopefully on Friday. Pick this up again and look at this a little bit more. Anyway, between now and then, I hope you have a nice sunny day, as we're having, and a good couple days. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday.